Good morning, Year 4. Welcome to your Wednesday English session. So just a quick recap of your week so far. We have learnt about compound sentences, okay, in order to start putting your own together to write your fact file by the end of this week. Yesterday we had a bit of a change of plan. Well, actually, it was already planned, but a bit of a change of direction. So instead of focusing on our fact files, we then focused on our class text in order to understand keywords. So we had a look at the word obediently and we used the Freya model, okay, in order to understand a bit more of that word. Okay, whereas today we are going to be thinking about using the retrieval finder. Now, this is a magnifier's glass that we used in school in order to help us understand text, a range of texts. This is old learning. We found out about the retrieval finder back in year 1. And this keeps cropping up as a tool to use in order to help our comprehension of text. Okay, and we're using that so we can answer comprehension questions about volcanoes, because going back to our write for the end of this week, which will be our fact file on volcanoes, I need to give you some more information in order for you to have that information to write about. Okay, hope all that makes sense. Okay, so firstly, what is the retrieval finder then? So what are the Masters magnifiers? What can you remember? I don't think we've actually looked very much at these since, I'm not sure we've actually done it this year. We've taught a couple of them within a lesson, but I don't know if we've done an actual focused lesson on the Masters magnifiers. So I want you to pause the screen here and have a think about what they are, okay, and how do we use them? Okay, so hopefully you came up with a couple of them. Now I've only chosen three that we've been using quite a lot this year. Okay, and I have chosen the purple magnifying glass. This is called the retrieval finder. This is the one that we're going to be focusing on today. The retrieval finder helps us to find information in the text. So when it asks us a question, we can use the retrieval finder to actually find the information. The words are written there in the text. I have written the word in capital letters because it is there. Okay, the exact words that you need to answer the question are in the text. Okay, and then we've got the inference illuminator. That is our green magnifier. Now this one is similar to the retrieval finder. We need to use it in order to answer questions, but we need to find clues. So inference illuminator helps us to find clues in the text. So the information that isn't in the text when we're using inference, it means we need to look for the clue. So for example, if in the text it said, Mrs. Tildesley put on her hat, scarf and gloves when she went outside at playtime, the question might ask you, what was the weather like? You need to use your inference. Well, Mrs. Tildesley put on her hat, scarf and gloves, which means she probably wouldn't put those on if it was nice and hot outside. So it's more than likely going to be quite cold. Okay, so my inference is telling me that the weather outside is probably really quite cold because we've looked for the clues. So she's wearing a hat, scarf and gloves to give us information, okay, to give us a clue what the weather might be like. Okay, so sometimes the answer will be there, sometimes we need to look for clues. Okay, and finally, the last one that I wanted to focus on is our word selector, because really this is what we were using yesterday. We were using the word selector to improve our understanding of words. So sometimes we use the word selector to define a word, define that definition. Sometimes we use the word selector to understand the meaning of that word in context. So we might read the start of the sentence and everything around that word if we're not sure what a particular word means. Okay, so we have to use the rest of that sentence to help us with it. Okay, those are just 3 of the 6 Masters magnifiers, but these are the 3 that we come across quite a lot in year 4. So you might have said the blue Masters magnifier, that is our prediction magnifier. That's where we make predictions based on what we know. Okay, predictions based on what might happen in the story. We usually make predictions at the start of a new class text to decide what we think the class text might be about. Okay, so this is the one we're going to be focusing on today. We're going to be trying to use the retrieval finder. Okay, now that finds the information in the text. So we're going to go through this process again. We're going to go through our turn. Okay, so here I've given you an example, just a snippet of a non-chronological report that's already been written about volcanoes. One particular volcano, the Mount Vesuvius, which is the volcano we're going to be finding even more about of in a couple of weeks' time, okay, because it's based around our ancient Roman topic. Okay, so my question is, when did the last big eruption of Vesuvius occur? So when did it happen? And I can see here that we're going to have to use our retrieval finder because the answer must be in the text. So the good thing about a non-chronological report that you'll see tomorrow is that non-chronological reports are split into different subheadings. So that tells me I don't really need to read all of this. I want to know when the last big eruption of Vesuvius occurred. So I don't really need to know about the area around Mount Vesuvius. I also don't really need to know about why it's so famous. But how many times has Vesuvius erupted is more than likely going to be the part of information where it's going to tell me the answer. Okay, so I'm going to read this part first. I'm going to have the question in the back of my head. So when did the last big eruption of Vesuvius occur? And I'm going to read through this section first. Okay, so a major recorded eruption of Vesuvius took place in 1631, killing around 3,000 people. Since then, Vesuvius has erupted at least 20 times. The last big eruption happened during the Second World War in 1944. This eruption caused severe damage to an US Air Force base. Over 12,000 people lost their homes and sadly 26 people died. So going back to my question, when did the last big eruption of Vesuvius occur? I'm going to get my highlighter here because it actually tells me the last big eruption happened during the Second World War in 1940. So when I answer that question, I can write that whole sentence out again. The last big eruption happened during the Second World War in 1944. So therefore, I don't need to read the first bit. I don't need to read the last bit. Okay, I just needed to read this one section in order to find the answer to this question. Okay, now remember when you do write the answer, use part of the question in your answer so it makes sense. So for example, the last big eruption of Vesuvius happened during the Second World War in 1944. Okay, still with me? Perfect. So what you're going to do is you're going to have a go. This can go in the back of your box set books. Okay, it doesn't need to go in the front, don't worry too much about it. So we're going to use the retrieval finder again. And I've cut off a section of an existing non-chronological report again. The only bit of the part that I want you to read about is this bit here, how volcanoes are formed. There's a big chunk of writing there. What I would like you to do, I want you to read through this information, okay? So I want you to pause the screen and I want you to read through this information. And what you're going to do is you're going to just answer this one question. So it says, when volcanoes erupt, and then there are 4 examples that could follow this sentence. So when volcanoes erupt, what does it do? And this is a retrieval finder. That tells us that the exact answer is within this text. What you're going to do is you pause the screen. I will have this on Class Story as well if you prefer it in front of you. That's absolutely fine. So I'll pause the screen and I want you to just read this part of the text. And can you just answer me this one question? When volcanoes erupt, which one makes the most sense? Okay, and you just have to write this answer in the back of your book. Okay, in the back of your box set book or in your yellow letters. And that is your learning for today. So using the retrieval finder in order to answer questions about volcanoes. Okay, we're going to use some of this information when you start writing your fact files tomorrow. Okay, use the rest of the lesson if sorry, my watch is telling me to stand up now. Use the rest of this lesson. Start again. What I'll do is I'll also give you some examples of different types of non-chronological report as well, so you can use this time to do your reading on that. So instead of reading Project 4 today, you can read some of those examples of non-chronological reports as well to support your fact finding for tomorrow. Okay, so I am going to stop the recording here. Once again, as always, can you please send us your work via Class Dojo on your portfolio or via a message, and we will look through and give you feedback. Okay, see you soon. Bye.